Salve te discipuli. This is Help for Your Latin Studies in Henle First Year Latin, exercise number 273. In this exercise, we will translate sentences from English to Latin and use some of those relative purpose clauses in these translations. So let's take a look. In number 1, it says, they immediately sent envoys into the camp of Caesar to seek peace. So we have our main clause and our subordinate clause. And if you look back at the diagrams in your grammar book that shows the tense sequence, you will see that since the tense of this verb sent is perfect, it's past completed action, that's a secondary tense, which means that the tense of this verb will be subjunctive imperfect. So we'll keep those things in mind as we go to translate this in Latin. But let's start by parsing the sentence. They is our subject, it's a pronoun, and so it will be included with the verb sent. They sent. So together, this will be a verb that is third person, plural, and perfect tense. The subject is doing the action, so it's active voice, and it's indicative mood. So that's what we're going to do there. And then immediately is an adverb, so I'll just mark that. Who or what did they send? They sent envoys. This is a direct object, so this noun will need to be accusative. It's also plural, and we will consider the vocabulary word legatus, legati. That's a second declension masculine noun. Then we have a preposition, into. It gives a sense of motion, and so our object of the preposition will be in the accusative case. It's also going to be plural because that's what we do in Latin. When we think of a camp, we think of many tents. Accusative, plural, and this noun is a neuter noun. So, castra, castrorum, a orum is a, castra. And then of Caesar is together showing possession. So this is one noun that will be in the genitive singular, and Caesar is masculine. All right, so let's go ahead and translate just this first main clause. We're going to put our verb at the end, so which means we're also going to put our subject along with it. It'll be one word. All of that will go to the end. I also like to partner the adverbs with the verbs. I think that that's common, and so we will put adverb and then end with the verb at the end. So what we want to begin with is probably our prepositional phrase. I don't think it would make sense to just start with envoys, but maybe into the camp of Caesar, envoys were immediately sent is sort of how we would structure that in Latin. So let's start with our prepositional phrase. In, our word for camp in the accusative plural is castra. And our word for Caesar as a genitive singular is Caesaris. All right, into the camp of Caesar, in castra Caesaris, envoys. That's legatus, legati, but the accusative plural, we'd have to think through those second declension noun endings. Os, I, o, o, I, orum, is, os, legatos. And then immediately they sent, right? So our word for immediately is statim. Yes, I just had to look at my notes. Statim. We could look it up too if we didn't know in our vocabulary words. So immediately, statim, they sent. So this is, and I've got it open in our grammar book, to the wrong mood. This is an active voice. We talked about that. Active, the subject's doing the action. Indicative mood, and it is perfect tense. It's a third conjugation. It actually happens to be the modal verb. So they sent is what we want, which is our third person plural. Miserunt. Okay, so there's the main clause. In castra Caesaris legatos statim miserunt. And then we want to seek peace. And remember, as often as possible, we're encouraged to use the relative pronoun to join these two clauses. And so would it make sense for us to say they immediately sent envoys into the camp of Caesar who would seek peace, or that they might seek peace? Yes, it makes perfect sense. And so we're going to use the relative pronoun that would be like who would seek peace. So whatever our who would be, that who would refer to the envoys. That's who was sent, right? And they are who would seek peace. So we want our, well, first of all, it's going to be the subject. We're going to consider it the subject of our subordinate clause, but we're going to get our gender and number from the antecedent here, which is envoys. So this is masculine plural. So let's look real quick at our pronouns in the grammar book. All right, this is masculine plural, and it's a nominative. It's the subject of our subordinate clause. So we're going to use qui here. Qui. And then we'll put our verb. This is our verb, and then another direct object. So we want to use a direct object form for the word peace. That's going to be accusative, singular, pax, pacus, that's feminine. It's a third declension noun, and by the Sachs rule, the nominative singular ending x makes it feminine. But in the accusative case, we would have various sem, pacem. And then our word for seek. If you look back in your vocabulary in the purple book, I believe it's a third conjugation verb. Seek, beg, or request. Peto, petere, petivi, petitus. All right, so we want this to be subjunctive, imperfect, because the tense of the main clause is a secondary tense. It's perfect. So then by flow, in a purpose clause, by flow to the subordinate clause, that verb in the subordinate clause will be subjunctive imperfect. And we're going to use this peto, that first principal part, to get to that imperfect tense. All right, so let's go here. Here we are with subjunctive mood. Imperfect tense, third conjugation is right here. And it's also, this verb is also going to be, they would seek peace. So it's also going to be a third person plural. So here we are, subjunctive mood, imperfect tense, third person plural, peterent. So your final translation should read, in castra Caesaris legatos statim miserunt qui pacem peterent. I hope this has been helpful to you. Have a great day.